Yesterday at work, one of my regular customers came in and was like, "Oh yeah, this is my chain. Can I get it cleaned?" And then he looked over at me and he was like, "Yeah, Miami Vice over there sold this to me." And I was like, "What's up? That is fucking. I love that. You
Hell
don't
yeah.
even know, bro.
Hell yeah, Crockett.
Yep, better than Tubbs, that's for sure.
Nice to be
Tubbs
joining you, gentlemen, again.
Tubbs had style. Tubbs had style. But yes, thank nice
Welcome
to nice
back.
to have you back on the show. We're actually Mike guest starred on Parallax View, and this is his first appearance with us on the X-Men TV show.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
episodes were so wholesome. There's no one running around looking for women to rape or post-apocalyptic dogs. Just
Not as much.
Yeah, not quite as intense as some of the other stuff we talked about. We also recorded a podcast about Lolita this week.
oh wow, that's good for Epstein.
Good week for us. Yeah.
That's a
No, that was
fancy
really fun.
bong you got
Very
there.
fun. So that podcast is an offshoot kind of the Parallax Review, and it's called Shudder Island. Like, oh, you know?
So good.
Welcome to TV Show presents X-Men 92, episode 20. We'll be watching a couple episodes of the classic 90s X-Men show and discussing our thoughts, interesting tidbits and trivia, letting you know like the lore behind the series because not everyone's a hardcore fan of this stuff. I like to think that we're kind of presenting an approach for the casual fan because there's some great X-Men podcasts out there for the hardcore fans that cover the comic books and more. Um, we're just dipping our toes in here for a year and saying hi. This week we're going to be discovering. Fuck it, I'm just going to go with that mistake. This week we're going to be discovering Love in Vain and Juggernaut Returns, which in theory are supposed to be the season finale of season 3 and the beginning of season 4, but by this point this in the schedule episodes were just airing whenever they were finished and whenever Fox felt like it. I'm Jim Vanderhorst, and I'm joined by my co host, Ben Caldwell, and a guest, Mike Vincent.
Hi.
Mike, before we get into this, what's been your kind of experience with X Men growing up? I see you're wearing an X Men shirt.
I
I remember
am.
seeing X Men 2 in theater with you.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yes. So like it was probably my favorite cartoon as a kid. Uh Early elementary was all about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I feel like X-Men a little more sophisticated and really appealed to me in kind of like teenage years. I didn't watch many other cartoons though. I wasn't a G.I. Joe guy. I did watch a little bit of Captain Planet, is that right?
Mm,
Oh,
Has
yeah.
some
yeah,
superhero vibes. But yeah, when you
absolutely.
said like hardcore versus casual, I think I'm a casual viewer. I didn't read many X-Men comics. I got the free ones from Pizza Hut. Did you ever get those?
I
I
think I
think
do
so.
remember that Pizza Hut tie-in. That
Was
was a
it like
big one. That was back
Captain
when everyone ate
Canuck?
there too.
Yeah, they're like the
That
only time I went to Pizza Hut, but I made my mom go back multiple times so I could get all. I think there was four of them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the Captain Canuck thing I think was a little bit later than that, but I remember there was a big X-Men pizza tie-in thing around 92, 93 when the first or second season, like right at that first big explosion, kind of the peak of X-Men in pop culture until the movies came out 7 years later. There was kind of like a bit of a lull when the once the series started to peter out. Like we're just kind of entering, we've just come off the Dark Phoenix saga, which is kind of I think the peak of everybody watching it, and we're entering into the period where people start to drop off and only catch a couple episodes here and there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just so interesting with TV back then because you just had to hope that you were home when it was on, and I had no sense of seasons or arcs. Like I would just watch it
Yeah.
when I could watch it, and I was always really excited to catch a new one, which is weird, right? Because with Netflix now you can just systematically go through the seasons. But I was really impressed that Love in Vain, which we're going to talk about, I hadn't seen that one before. So this I got to watch it for the first time, and I thought I'd seen every episode, so that was a treat.
Nice.
Yeah, I
I
bet you
think
haven't seen
too,
a lot of them.
looking back to those times for TV viewership, it was like not only could you just like not realize it was on, whatever, but like you said, Mike, you didn't know what season it was, you know? And viewers, I don't think were set up yet to expect long arcs. Like it was like it would say to be continued, and it would be a 2 or 3 part at most. You know what I mean? And it was like an
Totally.
event. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot more episodic and sort of serial, I guess, back in those days.
They did make a big deal out of marketing the events. Like Phoenix Saga was every day, Monday to Friday of the first week of September. So first week of school for us in Canada and the
Is that
northern
Sweeps
US.
Week?
I think it is a big deal for sweeps. And the Dark Phoenix actually played out across November, which is the next sweeps month, right? It was very, very calculated. And after that point, they were like, okay, we've done enough that we want to order more episodes on the back end, but we're not going to be concerned about how this comes out. So they would barely market these things. And I didn't see Love in Vain when it was originally coming out either, because it came out in the middle of February, which is another sweeps time. They were basically only dropping these episodes during sweeps for a while.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, and all out of order. Like to compare, Love in Vain comes out February 10, 1996. So even though it's in the same season as the Dark Phoenix saga, it's coming out a year and a half later because the Dark Phoenix saga was in September, but the Phoenix saga was September 1994 and the Dark Phoenix was November. And then February 10, 1996 is when the next episode comes out. And then the episode like right after it in the script session in the original plan that they planned out when they designed seasons 2 through 4. That one comes out May 6th, 1995. So almost a year earlier, even though it's the episode that's supposed to be next in their
Hmm.
chronology. Yeah.
And is
And
it
I
all
remember you'd
A
watch like,
Acon animation at that point?
Well, it's mixed, right? I think both of these episodes are ACOM.
Hmm.
They both looked like pretty good quality to me, but again, I haven't seen these in a couple weeks because this episode recording was a little bit delayed. Do you think any of the episodes were the Philippine animation studio, Ben?
I just noticed at the end of the second one, Juggernaut, it did say like Acom Studios, but I didn't check the first one, but they looked better than some
Yeah,
other
they
episodes.
they were good looking episodes. Um, Mike, they basically would hire the secondary Filipino animation studio to back up the Korean ACOM studio at times when they weren't able to match the demands of the schedule
oh,
because Fox
interesting.
wanted the show hot and fast, right? Like they wanted the whole Phoenix saga to come out really, really fast. So a bunch of the rest of season 3 is done by the Filipino animation studio. So like the two-parter right before it, and there's going to be an episode that we covered the previous week that we haven't recorded the episode yet, but that episode is all about Iceman and X Factor, and that one's by the Philippine Animation Studio, and it has some like the motion is just a lot different. Individual frames don't look quite as good, even when they're
Mhm.
trying to go for the same aesthetic. So even though ACOM is like not a perfect studio by any means, it makes mistakes all the time. There's lots of shots where they just kind of, I think they don't have enough animation frames, so they just hold one frame for extra long often, and it makes it feel a little stilted sometimes.
Do
I've
you feel
really
like when you
noticed.
watch it though, you can tell right away? Like, can you tell which studio made the episode just based on viewing it, or do you have to really
I
pay
think if you
attention?
looked at the colors, you could probably tell because I think the Acom studio does better coloring, and
Uh,
the Philippine studio is a little like brighter and more kiddish.
True, but there's two eras of the Philippine animation studio. The first
Mm.
era, they're trying to match the shadows a lot, and so it's harder to tell. Like I didn't actually realize until we were watching this run through that there's a bunch of Philippine animation episodes in the third season because most of them are at the end of the fifth season. The last run of 6 or 8 episodes, I think, that has a completely different style. Philippine Animation Studio says, "Oh, we'll come and do these real fast, but you gotta let us do it in like the, I think it's the, maybe Tales in the Crypt or something. There's just the style that we're doing for most of our other things. Like we just gotta
Mm.
rush through this, And so those episodes look real bad. Some of those came out in season three because they were episodes that they just fully abandoned from the season three schedule when it was happening
Hmm.
because they really only cared about the Phoenix saga at that point. Like they knew that was the big hype and that Marvel itself was like really built on these summer um once every summer there would be a big crossover for comics starting in
Tentpole.
1989 with the Inferno event, which is an X-Men story. Uh, and then there'd just be something big happening. It'd be Atlantis attacks or the Infinity Crusade and the Infinity War. Those were big crossovers in the early 90s. Um, they had just had the Age of Apocalypse was the big one that was happening next, and that was like the dominated the marketing structure, and that actually came out of this cartoon. They got the idea for the big event in the comics from the planning
Hmm.
sessions that this show had. Yeah, there's a two-parter called One Man's Worth that we'll be covering later on, and that is where they got the idea for the Age of Apocalypse, which is one of the most popular stories. There's a lot of cross-pollination, but they were like working together. Marvel Studios in New York was very much like hands-on involved with the development of this show in a way that they weren't in the MCU. And part of the reason why the MCU was able to come together is because Kevin Feige just had kind of had the balls and the understanding to be able to do it all without too much involvement from New York. Although they they really stuck their hands in it, and that's why you got movies like Thor 2 and Iron Man 3 that kind of like step outside what should make sense. Like Iron Man 3, you got the villain, it's supposed to be Maya Hansen, and it turns out instead that it's Guy Pearce's character Killian, and that's like a last minute thing made by the overly conservative New York office. But in the early 90s, the New York office was making good decisions because they were younger, smarter, fresher. So a good stuff was coming out of all of this hype around the X-Men. But then the Fox channel was like moving on to the next things, right? A year
Mhm.
after X-Men comes out, they launch Power Rangers. And a year after
Also,
that,
that's also Saban, right? Like the same
yeah, it's
production
all the
company.
same big company. And so like they've made all these business deals in essentially 1992, 1993. That's all done to them. The work is being done by the animation studios and the writers the whole time, but they're focused on making Power Rangers knockoffs because they kind of had this peak with they have the Batman and X-Men and Spider-Man as their big trilogy of successes with superhero animation. But I think it's cheaper for them to import half of a show from Japan and just have actors do the local stuff, like non-union actors.
Mm.
So I think that's what they kind of move towards because there's more profit being made. And ultimately, I think the Power Rangers toys sold better than the X-Men toys did.
Did you guys catch
Sad.
the Power Rangers reference in the second episode, Juggernaut Returns, I think it was?
No,
It was
but I was a
excellent.
Power Rangers fan too.
Yeah, when he lands in the studio where they're
Hmm.
shooting Power Rangers and the actors playing the Power Rangers and the Putty Patroller are like chasing him around.
And it's like, go, go, Power Rangers. Like there's like a discordant note. Like it's
Yeah,
really funny.
because it's all the same company. They can own. They probably could just license themselves that music for $1 for that moment.
Hmm.
I thought that was pretty funny. I gotta say, like, before we get into it, I really hated that episode as a kid, but really had a good time with it this time.
Mm.
If you guys are the
Anyway,
casual podcast, I'm pretty impressed. So
I mean,
deep X-Men knowledge.
it's not like it's stuff that
I'm
are.
the casual one of
Yeah.
anyone here.
He's
Yeah.
he's the casual
Oh
one for
well.
sure.
I'm the Joe Rogan. I'm like, Jamie, can we pull that up? Do you have any lore? And Jim's just like, yeah,
There's Jim, yeah.
okay. So like all this stuff happened, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Can we like, is that right? Like, yeah, okay, cool, man. Like I just believe whatever you say. So you could tell me bullshit. I wouldn't know.
I mean, I probably made a mistake here or two along the way. I used to read the
Joe
comics a
Rogan
lot when
with
I was a
hair.
kid. I
Beautiful.
definitely don't really
Nice
know
hair.
what happened beyond like 2005 or so. So we'll run out of stuff there. But the beauty of this cartoon is that it's only referencing stuff that I do know. And
Do you think it's the
and
consensus
do
that
some
this show is
research.
like the pinnacle of Marvel cartoons? Like of the Spider-Mans and the other ones?
Mm.
Like I always felt like X-Men was just maybe because it's more mature or more sophisticated in its themes, but it seems like it's the pinnacle more than any
I would
other
say so.
Marvel show
Yeah.
I watched.
Yeah. I agree.
Among millennials, I think that would be universally agreed. Although the Batman animated series is also pretty good, but it's like a
That's
different
DC though.
kind
That's
of
not
show.
Marvel, dog. That's DC, homie.
Haven't you seen that tattoo where it says Marvel and there's Batman and Superman in it though? Like that's what I,
I'm
no.
sorry. I didn't realize there was a tattoo. My bad. See, I'm Jamie. Can we pull that up?
See, that's how, see, I can't just bullshit my way through something no matter how nonsense it is. And it sounded like I believed in what I was saying there, and that's gonna be dangerous. So, take it with a grain of salt.
We're gonna
Um,
get a disinformation warning on YouTube for this. I tell
Yeah,
you.
That's right.
yeah. I do a bunch of research, so like I found out a whole bunch of lore just by reading through like the Marvel Wikipedia and the X-Men wikis online about the real version of this story. So like we're gonna go through Love in Vain, and then I'm gonna tell you what it's based on because
Nice.
there were more changes to this story than most of the classic stories.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd read though that this cartoon is the closest to the comic books in any other Marvel cartoon series.
Yeah, like there's X-Men Evolution, which turned them all into like goth teenagers. Wolverine the X-Men is like very much focused on representing the X-Men at a specific period that's much later on. And that's a really interesting story in that it's everything is interlinked. All 26 episodes are telling one tight story. However, this has a messiness and a looseness, and you never know whether something is just a fun detail or an actual important story plot element to it that I find is really cool because it really rewards. Um, I think just being able to pay attention to more things. I'm catching stuff going through, realizing how much this story actually is planned to go in a certain direction.
Hmm.
These episodes less than a bunch of other stuff that's happened. But like there's like parts of season one where if you missed one episode, you'd have no idea what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
And that's crazy for 1993.
Yeah.
Just quickly for context, you've probably covered this in previous episodes. Favorite X-Man or woman?
Wolverine, Bob.
Um, Probably this time through, I've really developed an appreciation for Rogue. Right now, Rogue is my favorite. She's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Nice.
Really hoping for an accurate Rogue, like the classic iconic costume, more of
Like
the
a
like
biblically accurate rogue.
yeah, the nine eyes and the
Yeah.
17 angel wings. Yeah, yeah. No, I wanted to be able to like punch people to another planet.
Hell
That
yeah.
version of Rogue is a lot more fun. We've seen like the most emotional version, the fragile version of Rogue.
Hmm.
And Pac-Man did a great job of that version.
Hmm.
But I like Rogue as the girl who also, despite her great weaknesses and suffering, is the strongest. I
Hmm.
think that's cool. What about you?
Yeah, Wolverine hands down. I don't know if it's because we're Canadian, but
Claws
and
down,
he's the
Bob.
anti-hero.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said
Yeah.
Cyclops? Like I just feel like he's universally
Gen
the
Alpha would
most
say
loathed.
Cyclops. He's
Yeah.
pretty popular now. He's kind of turned into the hardline, like leftist militant character.
Oh
Like
yeah.
in
They're
the comic
Cyclops
books,
maxing.
they are Cyclops maxing. In the comic books now, like Xavier's method has kind of been determined to be the weaker one. Cyclops has taken over the X-Men organization. Magneto works for him. He's his advisor. Xavier is sometimes invited, but often not. Um, and it's they generally go more like, okay, mutants, we just are better and smarter, so we'll take care of you if you want, and if not, we'll go to the moon. And they all live on the moon for a while. They have their own island nation for a while. They're very much more interested in protecting themselves than stepping in and saving the world. They'll save the world because they're on it, but they'd rather have the Avengers fix it for you if it's, the flat scans problem. Flat scans is the human racist term from mutants.
Mm.
Because they don't have any like mutant endochromial DNA or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like Muggle, you know,
Mm, yeah.
to reference the that which shall not be named.
Hmm. That bitch that shall not be named. That
100%.
turf, that turf that shall not be named.
Yeah, I love how they came up with that term for themselves, and now they get all mad if you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get into the plot of Love in Vain. So we start with a giant creature resembling a red whale flying through space, which I completely forgot about happening. And it happens to crash right on Earth, right behind Wolverine.
Mhm.
Like super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Just a little bit before this, though, Rogue's looking out the window and she sees like Cyclops and Jean have a little moment and get in their car, and she's like, "Y'all don't know how lucky you have it." And she's like sad that she can't touch or kiss, you know?
Yeah, we get a lot of context. There's also a before the episode recap of her origin with this boy Cody, who she
Hmm.
when she had her first kiss with him, her mutant powers kicked in and she threw him in a coma and
Old
absorbed
coma
a bunch of his
Cody.
personality. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So do you want
And
us to wait to
That's
talk
why
about
that's
things at
why
the
she
end,
has
or
that accent.
you can butt in anytime where we're not a respectful lot around here.
No, we just
okay?
cut each other off whenever we have something funny to say.
So what's your
You
reaction
can
when you see
see it
the
in my
giant?
eye
I can. The giant red
coming.
whale. Does that excite you as a viewer? Because as a kid, I was like, oh, it's like one of the space episodes. And to me, that was a turnoff. It's so out there compared to
Mm.
like the more grounded X-Men stuff. When I saw the red whale, I was a bit disappointed. But did you have the same reaction?
Um, I definitely like sci-fi randomness. I think more than say fantasy randomness. I learned a lot about what they are. They're called the Acanti, and
Mhm.
the they're actually the backbone behind the big epic that we're getting kind of a small diet version of. Like Chris Claremont would do his own big epic thing every couple years, and then he'd spend a couple years really dealing with it. So Marvel was doing its like 12-month cycle of we're going to build up to a big thing and everyone's going to be involved, and then go back to your own storylines for 6 months, and then you'll be involved in the big thing for 6 months. But Claremont was really spacing it out. You know, the Phoenix Saga is several years long, the Dark Phoenix Saga is several years long, and this is the Brood Saga, which is also several years long. And a bunch of the events of the Brood Saga have actually happened in the previous episode, and listeners will already know a little bit about this. That's a lot of elements just get pulled out and put in their own stories rather than having the Brood be a big saga like the Phoenix Saga. It's kind of like if the Phoenix Saga was Star Wars and is the Dark Phoenix Saga is Empire Strikes Back,
Mhm.
then the Brood Saga is kind of like what if Return of the Jedi was Aliens, but
Yep.
before it. Like Alien had come out, but this is happening in like 83-ish or so. This is actually it turns the idea like has all the concepts of the alien xenomorph and then introduces the all the concepts that James Cameron will introduce into the story as well. And I wonder, like, was Chris Claremont just in on the zeitgeist? Because the timing of these things, like the issues of the Phoenix Saga at the beginning of it, or are coming out way before Star Wars, and the it only goes into Shi'ar space right around the time the Star Wars movie comes out. And I don't know if it's really, really good timing, or if he's just surfing something, just feeling something. How much is being
They
influenced
were
by
all on
him?
the Lolita Express together. That's why. Just kidding.
Oh, crossover, I guess.
No, but that's what they said about Matt Groening, like the creator of The Simpsons. Like they were saying he might have like had all this insight because of the people he was around, because of his connections with Epstein.
I think Chris Claremont knew what movies nerds were really into and talking about, and I feel like maybe nerds were aware of how big Star Wars was going to be before it came out, maybe through magazines, through whatever ways that they found each other back in the day. Like I
Chat
remember
rooms, probably.
in Freaks and Geeks, they have that club, right, where they literally watch films
It's a good show.
in yeah, it's a great show. They watch films in the library, and the librarian helps track them down movies, and they have movie nights with their fellow geek culture people. I think that was probably happening. I think those there was like hubbub about Star Wars, and people were like actually genuinely part of fan clubs back in the day
Mhm.
because it was the only way to know any more about some things. People really, it's easy to forget because of how available everything is now, chronically
Mhm.
available. As long as you have a couple bucks and are willing to spend them on it. It used to be
So you
like
guys
getting
like the X-Men in space episodes then? Because as a kid, I was always disappointed. I'm like, oh, it's a space episode. Like
I think
that was the Dark
nowadays,
Phoenix stuff didn't really resonate so much.
Fair
Well, I
enough.
think they're cool because you get all this backstory and all these other like weird Marvel lore things out of them. But yeah, like at the time, it's like, can we just have like Beast and Wolverine fighting somebody? Like,
So
like,
you
Yeah.
guys, as kids, wanted the racism episodes. You wanted the deep
yeah,
ethical concerns
Yeah.
episodes.
yeah. Same reason I like the original Star Trek series.
Yeah, fair.
Yep. We're
Okay.
old souls, Jim, me and Mike.
Yeah,
We
I
are.
respect it. So before I get back into the episode, does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, when we were talking about Alien, I was like thinking about Alien and Alien versus Predator, and I was wondering like, was that always part of the same universe, or was it like some retcon thing that happened? Like, what's up with that?
Well, it wasn't planned on it always, but Fox was the studio that owned both of those franchises, and they licensed both of the franchises, along with a couple other things, to Dark Horse Comics in the late 80s. And so they started making comic books, and they had a reference. I'm not sure if it was an alien or a predator, but they just referenced maybe an alien skull in a Predator comic book or something early. I've read summaries of those things, but I haven't gone back and really read them because life is short. There's a lot out there. All of that stuff is actually pretty nuts. The original ideas, like the comic books actually took the aliens back to Earth for the third story, and they had alien queens taking over Earth, and it was like so big that I could see how maybe Alien 3 was made small as a reaction to people's feelings about the comic book that was just took the whole concept so big and made the alien queens like psychic or something. It
Mhm.
was a lot. Uh,
Alien 3 was what, Jonathan Glazer or something?
David Fincher,
Fincher, right. Yeah.
also a music video director of class and repute. So anyway, the creators of Predator 2 saw that this was a popular idea among fans and put an alien skull in Predator 2, which came out in 1990 or 1991,
Nice.
in the spaceship sequence at the end of that movie. And then shortly thereafter, that Dark Horse Comics published the first Alien versus Predator comic, or might have actually been before that. I don't know. I know that it was all happening around 1999, 91. The original Alien versus Predator comic is also better and more interesting than the movie they made, but they want to be different, so they went in maybe less organic directions than they could have. But yeah, it basically just the fact that it was all the same IP was owned by the same people is why it happened. The ideas just naturally fit together.
So they did like Disney before Disney, kind of.
Yeah, and now Disney owns it all and is very keen to figure it all out, but they're going a little slow. They know they want to eventually get there. There's
Hmm.
actually like a finished Alien versus Predator anime that Fox had commissioned for Hulu before it was bought by Disney, and Disney just has it in the can because it's not part of what they want to be doing right now, but they say eventually it might see the light of day.
Hmm.
These aliens are called werewolves, correct? Is that the name in this episode? The werewolves?
Is that what they were called? I didn't really get a lot of like I was so disappointed because like they're not the Brood, right? We're getting the Brood story, but they're not the regular
Yeah.
Brood depiction. People who watch this episode on YouTube will have seen what the Brood do look like because the Japanese version of the X-Men intro cartoon actually has Magneto commanding the Brood and sending them against the X-Men, and it looks really amazing and cool. And they actually referred to the Brood a few times, like in the Mojo Vision episode, the Brood appear. In the Iceman episode, for a couple episodes ago, Xavier projects the Brood Queen, which is a reference to something that happens in New Mutants when his new team of mutants that he creates because the X-Men they go off into space and everyone assumes they've died. So while they're having this Brood adventure, and they also go and hide out in Australia for a while. And so Xavier invents a new X-Men team called the New Mutants to keep it all going. However, he doesn't realize that, like the rest of the X-Men in the previous Brood adventures, he's actually incubating a Brood Queen, and he unconsciously like projects this Brood Queen as attacking this military crew, and eventually, Wolverine exposes and realizes that the last brood egg is inside Xavier, and Xavier dies because they have to kill the brood queen that's incubating inside him. And the Acanti just like keep rebuild him or something, or maybe the Shi'ar do. Somebody rebuilds his body. There's a lot
Hmm.
of body rebuilding over the course of the story. No, sorry, Storm also dies, and the Acanti recreate her body. The Akanti space whales are super powerful. That's what it all kind of like. That's where I was going with it. Like
They're epic bacon whales.
they're supposed to be a really, really big part of it, but in this, they're just kind of presented as hapless slaves
Yeah.
to these weird aliens, which are so they've taken this design, which apparently was difficult for the animators, the Brood design, because it's like got multiple legs. Uh, it's just really hard for them to depict them, apparently.
Like is Mojo a brood? Is that what they're going for?
No, no.
Uh,
Maybe maybe I should do a screen share for a second and we
sure.
can
I remember
just
the Brood from
watch.
the card game. They had all the Brood cards, like those alien, they're like cockroach things.
Brood. They were very brood. Very brood. Never said thank you.
Yeah. So we didn't get that. We get this weird like biomechanical version. They still infect people and turn you into them, but through their spores, which is kind of like the original idea for aliens, the xenomorph was that it could just through its mucus and spores and whatever transform your body into an egg that would then be a thing. And that was cut out of the movie because it was a little too confusing and apparently the effect didn't work right. And then James Cameron winds up going with a different idea, which is a queen that lays the eggs, and the brood have both. The brood have a queen that is controlling everything. It's kind of like the original, this sentient psychic queen thing is controlling a whole hive story. Um, and it's
Besides like
also
ants and bees in the world.
no, bees and ants got their idea from the X-Men.
Oh, apologies to the X-Men.
Mm.
This had
Yeah,
serious Invasion of the Body Snatchers
yeah,
vibes
you
to
got to
me.
respect Chris Claremont. Dude. Definitely some body snatchers vibes. And like, it's a cool concept. It's terrifying the idea that your body will be turned against you and you will become one of the enemies. It's also the core idea behind zombies, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
And to mix romantic tragedy with sci-fi horror, like that's the thing that the X-Men show is doing that I feel like other shows weren't. Like it was just fresh and unique.
yeah. So I feel like this is one of the few balls that the show really drops because this version of the aliens are kind of geeky looking,
Yep.
right? They have their weird cybernetic suits and everyone's turning into them and they look pretty like Rogue and Wolverine look pretty lame when they're turning into them.
And they're just collecting specimens. Like that's
It's
kind of
super
nerdy.
vague.
Yeah.
They're meant to be like trying to take over the world. They originally are some of the last remnants of the previous universe, and through their like biological reproductions process, they were able to survive the death of the previous universe, and they're now alive in the new universe, and they're like a pest that shouldn't be part of evolution, essentially.
Mhm.
And they're a thing that constantly has to be fought back against all over the universe. The Shi'ar try to control them. We first actually introduced them by Deathbird, Empress Solandra's sister, brings them in. This is all
Did
stuff
that feel
like
like a forced merger of storylines, having the Rogue and the Cody thing mixed with like these weird aliens coming down to
100%.
Space Whale? Like, did you feel like those melded well, or did that seem very discordant, those two elements?
It felt like there were two totally different stories that had nothing to
Yeah.
do with each other to me. And like it's not based on anything. They actually got had never gone back to the Cody well ever in the comic books until this happened. And then they eventually brought Cody back and I think had him be a drug addict or something. Uh, but that's about as interesting as this is, right? And he's just not very interesting. Like he calls up Rogue, he says he's awake from his coma, and he wants to meet up with her in Manhattan. So
Just out of the blue.
yeah, and he says that he's found a way for them to touch without Rogue's powers affecting him, which I guess like I understand the appeal of that. They've set that up earlier in the episode.
Which, to be fair, I guess is a 20-minute episode, right? Like, you don't have a whole lot of time for establishing the plot or
Yeah, and
characters, but
it's
still, it felt a bit artificial.
Yeah. There is a bit of like nice poetic reversal because when they do kiss, she passes out this time,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's because she's been blasted by an alien that's above them and just makes her pass out. And then she wakes up on a bench in broad daylight the next day, which is super rapey. Like they shouldn't have passed this off as this normal. She should be a lot more concerned, like, oh, I've woken up in a totally different place with this person that I don't know. Feels a little bit not great.
She's not used to this. Like, you know,
True.
Watching
it's
it
weird.
as an adult, do you feel like it seems like every X-Men kind of has a core theme, and when they get their own episode, it's like exploring that core theme.
Yeah.
It seems like Rogue's core theme is always like wanting to be close to someone, but they can't, or fear of like hurting people close to her. Like it just seems like anytime they have a chance to feature an episode with Rogue, that is sort of the thing that they're going for. Is that true? Do you think rewatching it amongst the different episodes?
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
theme
Like
is that she needs traditional P in the V. She needs a kiss on the mouth and she needs eye contact. And that's the three things that she cannot have.
it's very true.
Eloquently put.
Yeah. That's why Ben's here to really like lay it on deep with the big words. Uh
No swears.
yeah.
Just want to point that out.
We're cutting back. We're doing better. YouTube wouldn't let us promote the show, which is because there's just too much swearing in it. So
Oh,
we're
that's
we're
awesome.
trying to do better. Yeah.
We're at
Um
zero so far this episode,
fuck
if we don't
right.
include P and
Pretty
V.
sure. Hey, we do not.
No, we
Those are
don't. We
just
don't.
letters. Just like Q and U, just letters.
Yeah, so Cody decides to follow up this creepy shit by saying, "Oh, come away with me for a weekend." Meanwhile, Wolverine searches the Acanti creature. So, like, how did that one alien get to New York? Apart, did it drop out of the space whale as it was entering the atmosphere or something? That's never explained. Um, so he goes into the space whale and finds out by overhearing them that they plan to take over the planet by infecting all of the population with their parasites and turn them like cyber reptilian. He manages to contact the rest of the X-Men who get ready to set off. When Rogue shows up and says, "Yeah, I'm not going with you. I know Wolverine's going through something really big, but like my shit matters." Which
I have a date.
one thing that sucks about these episodes sometimes is that in their one-off episode that's focusing on their character, they act out of character.
Hmm.
Yep.
Gambit like didn't really act like he normally does in his Externally Yours solo episode in the second season, and I don't even think he gets his solo episode in the third season because I don't think they really know what to do with him. And I think that may be why we haven't gotten a Gambit movie yet because like what is Gambit really is a team situation character.
Hmm.
Unless they go into his like backstory as like a Cajun gambler rogue,
Well,
like
That'd be cool.
man.
the comic books I think did the most interesting thing with them, which you'd have to really take some time to set up, which is the comic books have him betray the Morlocks to Mr. Sinister, give away their location, and Mr. Sinister and his goons go in and kill most of the Morlocks. And you find out that Gambit is the guy who enabled that years later.
Mm,
So that's his original sin, and that's like a strong original sin, I think. Needs the time and lore. So that's why he should show up in team movies for a little bit and then follow up with a solo thing once he has that thing he needs to atone for that we know about. I think
yes.
that storyline should happen. Like introduce the Morlocks early in the X-Men lore and then kill them off
And
as
definitely
a
have
way to set
like
up
Channing
conflict.
Tatum play him.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Gambit deserves his own movie, I think.
Yeah, he's a really good character. Okay. So, uh Cody reveals that he's been working for the colony all along and was leading Rogue into a trap. She gets infected. It's it's a bit messy in here. How she got there before the rest of the X-Men, even though she said she wasn't going to go with them. Wolverine starts to begin to change into a reptile. The X-Men are captured by the colony and they all get infected. Cody Rogue begin to change, and the colony queen reveals that she planned to recruit her, but there's never really a strong reason given why Rogue was selected for this role.
No.
Did I miss something? Did you guys catch
She
that?
was really, really strong. They've been keeping an eye on her, but they
Yeah,
couldn't
they say
fight her because she was
especially this
too
one
strong.
referencing her, but they didn't say
Yeah.
why.
Well, I guess maybe we do kind of see why because she's basically the biggest threat to them,
She's, yeah, able to absorb power.
right?
Really,
Because
Wolverine's the biggest
There's
threat because
Wolverine,
he's the
yeah.
one that can
yeah,
block the
yeah, because
spores.
yeah, that like maybe they're dumb and they just don't think that his healing factor will fight off the infection, but it does, which is like what happens in the
Yeah,
in the
they
comic
said they
books.
did.
They
They
do
didn't
say
know
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Now, in the original story, Rogue was like uh around but not but as part of Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and she joins the X-Men team at the end of this story. So she's kind of not in the original story. Actually, Captain Marvel is. She
Hmm.
has lost her powers because Rogue has taken her powers, and she's having along for this intergalactic adventure with the X-Men, and she gets powers that turn her into binary. So she has other form of superpowers as a result of her adventure along with the X Men. Uh, in the comic books, after Wolverine cures himself using his powers, there's like this year-long period of issues set in a very short period of time where Wolverine has realized that the X Men are infected by the Brood and is lamenting that they're all going to die, and he doesn't know how to stop it. And so there's all this tension building up for months and months and months, and they don't really do that. Here, he just allows Rogue to cure him because she's in the story. So like it she is the out with the reason why you can
Mhm.
go through that story quicker. But that's the more interesting part of the story that the audience would know and the regular X-Men wouldn't know that they're infected and could eventually become Brood, which is like the core terror behind the Aliens franchise too.
Yeah. Face
So
huggers.
yeah, I kind of originally planned to dump all the lore after we went through this, but I just can't help myself, and I just had to explain along the way why this is just not as good a version of the story as it is. And maybe it's Fox censors, maybe it's the animation stuff, maybe they just like put so much energy into the Phoenix Saga they didn't really think it would be, they had enough like energy and attention to put into another third epic. But it's my hope that if we get like X-Men Marvel movies that like number three is the regular Phoenix Saga. Number four is the Dark Phoenix Saga. And number five is the Brood Saga. Keep them out in space and do that.
Yeah.
Maybe even infect them with the Brood during the Dark Phoenix Saga and have that be a cliffhanger going forward from the end of that story.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, they're
And
almost
they
trying
don't
to do
even
so
know it
much
yet.
here in 20 minutes. There's just not enough time to develop things properly.
Yeah, so it
By
just
having two storylines are trying to stick together in 20 minutes just doesn't work.
yeah, like respect to them for everything they've achieved in so many other aspects of the show. But I don't know, honestly feel like if we can get one of them on the show at some point, they might agree with that. This may be a overly compromised form of it.
In a season finale, it's interesting that this was their choice. I mean, I guess maybe they weren't really thinking in terms of seasons, but to conclude the season, this seems like an odd choice as well. Do you
Well,
think?
it was originally planned to be the season finale, and I think that based on like the some of the events that happened from before it, I wonder if it was actually planned for them to have done the Brood saga over the previous two episodes leading up to this,
Mm,
and have this be the culmination of what things that they've built. Because the episode with Corsair that happened right before this, that's actually the beginning of the Brood saga. Cyclops discovers Corsair is his father at during the first adventure that they have with the Brood where they get infected with the spores unknowingly, and then they do some more space adventures and have to go back into space. Yada yada. It takes place over the course of over a year, um, and I think that maybe they wound up having to just like compromise and cut it down. But it was so like I mean it wasn't the season finale anymore, right? Like Fox would still call things season premiere and season finale in their marketing, even though they weren't originally planned or written to be that way. So like we'll come across episodes and I'll point out as they come out and we talk about them. It's like, oh, this what was actually marketed as the season finale. Here's what actually came out last
right.
or first for
Like
this season six.
Fox was just like the random network. Like I remember episode like when they would show like little clips of future shows that are coming out soon. And I remember one time they had like an overlay of like Beck songs from like Midnight Vultures. with like really weird themes. And it was like Bobby Hill doing like a little dance to like sex laws. And it's like, what is going on at Fox? Like they were
Scientology,
so
maybe.
weird. Maybe. Yeah.
Like,
Beck is
didn't
a
he follow up Midnight
Scientologist.
Vultures with the information, that one album that we listened to that had like that weird ass outro that was very, very strange, and we felt like really
I want
weird
to
about it?
say mutations, Wero, and then the information. But yeah,
You would know better than I.
I like Beck
Yeah,
sonically,
yeah.
musically. Yeah.
That album he won the Grammy for was like an incredible album, and that's the one he should have won the Grammy for. I
Oh,
forget the name of it
delay.
right now. I don't think it was. I think I'm talking about the morning something.
Yeah, that one. That
And
was not as good as Odelay, but yes.
I mean,
Anyway,
Odelay was a musical explosion of creative genius, right? Like,
yeah.
regardless of how we feel about the guy's philosophies, beliefs,
At
lifestyles, or
age
whatever.
12, I didn't know any of that, but I played it on a rented PlayStation and it was great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then I
Do you
played
guys play the arcade game, the X-Men?
the back arcade
Yes.
game. Yes.
Yeah, I
I
love that
Wolverine
one.
and Beck team up, and they fight Blur.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take this, Blur. Oh,
Like the animated show and the arcade, like beat 'em up side
Yeah,
scroller
that one
from
two
BC
punch.
Ferries. That was
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
not
remember
from
that
BC
game.
Ferries, but it was on the BC Ferries.
No,
It was the
no,
best
that
Yeah,
game.
was
that's my
from
association.
BC Ferries. I agree.
Not
That's where it
Konami,
came from.
It was on there for
BC
years.
Ferries.
Yep.
That game came out in like spring '92, and then
Mm.
this cartoon debuted in like October. So it was a big '92 was a big explosion year for them. Also, like '91 had been the year that they launched their second comic and had Jim Lee wrote and drew the best selling comic book of all time or whatever, and it was X-Men #1.
Is that
So
Stanley's son or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
Stan Lee, the Jewish man, had a full blooded Japanese son named Jim.
Cool. With the Chinese last name.
100%. Uh, so the rest of the X-Men are cured because Rogue gets the thing, and then Rogue can just touch everybody, and her powers actually help matter. Like, that's good. That's a really good solution to this, and it kind of
Yes.
Mhm.
gets lost in the rest of the kind of just bit of letdown delivery of the Brood. So the Acanti then shows how the colony trap it. They use giant nets to travel in space. Um, it probably would have been better off if they just said they enslaved us and didn't show us the nets.
Agreed.
Yeah. It lets out a high pitched squeal to defeat the colony while the team retreat. Tragically, Cody remains with the colony. He chooses to stay, much to Rogue's heartbreak, as Wolverine and Gambit are unable to console her.
The end.
That's
Yeah.
that.
It's written by Martha Moran. Um,
What did he call her? Flapjack or something like that?
I
Cody's little nickname for Rogue.
something like that. The number
She's like,
one
don't
song.
call me that, Chuck.
Yeah, ex girlfriends do not like your nicknames.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
I read though
Uh,
that Wolverine is so prone to giving his little sarcastic quips. The fact that he doesn't say anything at the end shows that he's like giving solidarity to Rogue and doesn't he's just supporting her with his silence. So I thought it was interesting. I don't know if they're thinking that deeply or if that was coincidence, but
Wolverine normally has some little bon mot to
yeah,
throw
he
out
does.
yeah.
He does know to
there.
shut up.
So
Yeah.
So the number one song when that came out, February 10, 1996, was "One Sweet Day" by Mariah Carey and Boys to Men. The number one movie at the box office was
mm-mm.
John Woo's first American movie, Broken Arrow, starring
Hmm.
John Travolta and
Hell yeah.
Christian Slater. A movie
Hey,
I've watched once and have
we
seen
got a
over and over
broken
again.
arrow here.
Yeah, seen it
Yeah.
once.
Broke these arrows all over the place.
I
Uh,
remember the Cracked magazine riff on that was broke and narrow. That's what I remember of that movie.
wow, that is a broken arrow parody pun. Also coming out that week though were some movies that have lasted in people's minds a lot more. Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage's great Oscar-winning performance.
Nicolas
I'm
Cage.
gonna drink myself to death.
Yeah, that one. Black Sheep, the movie that drove Chris Farley into a depression,
Chris Farley.
apparently. Yeah. And
I'm gonna drink myself to death.
Mr. Holland's Opus, which I think was a much bigger hit in the long run in the time when it came out in 1996, but I think has been utterly forgotten, like everything Richard Dreyfuss did. Like when he stopped
I'm
making
not
movies,
gonna drink
people
myself
stopped
to
showing up.
death.
I enjoyed that movie as a kid, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yeah, I liked it as a kid too. I really distinctly remember the stuff with the deaf kid. It was strong, but people
But
don't
I've not
really
seen it since then, to your point.
no no like people don't really revisit movies like that. It's just like if it doesn't win the Oscar the year it comes out, it's probably not going to last.
We're gonna need a bigger opus.
A uh, so how would you guys rate this episode? I would give it like I give it like 4 red space whales.
I think it's Le Epic Bacon Space Whale 6.9. Nice.
All right, that's
And I
pretty
give
high.
it 5 awkward first kisses gone horribly wrong out of 10.
Mm,
Nice, like that. That's
like
On
good.
the
that.
one hand, like Wolverine, Gambit, and Rogue are like three of my favorites. Any episode with those X-Men, I'm in for. But on the flip side, the giant space whale and the sci-fi and the B grade brood kind of brought it down and just like it felt a bit all over the map. So unfortunately, the episode wasn't that great. But I'm always here for some Gambit, Rogue, and Wolverine. If it was like Storm, Cyclops, and I don't know, Jean Grey, I would be less excited.
Mhm.
No, no shade thrown towards those X-Men, but
Yeah, I mean,
Cyclops is boring. Let's just face it.
yeah, he does get good in X-Men 97, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so let's move on to Juggernaut Returns, which came out May 6, 95, way earlier. This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan was the #1 song. This is how
Hell
we
yeah.
do it. Great tune. That survived a lot of times. The
This
#1
is
movie
how
was
we do
French
it.
Kiss, which I think was like a Meg Ryan movie, maybe. I don't
That
know.
sounds right.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Also out was While You Were Sleeping. I think people know that one more.
Mm.
Again, maybe not one that people watch these days, but I think everyone would be able to tell you that's a Sandra Bullock movie.
Back when they made movies for grown-ups, that was for like an adult couple to go out to, you know?
Yeah, that shit never happens. Now a movie for an adult couple comes out
Ticket
on
cost
Netflix.
$5 and it was like expensive. And if you went on Tuesday, 250 a piece, you know?
miss
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah.
Uh, but the big movie that was out, the classic that has endured, Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Followed by several weak sauce sequels.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Next Friday, Friday after next, etc.
let's get into Juggernaut Returns, written by Juliana Klemm, who also wrote Externally Yours. So buckle up.
Nice. I'm gonna get externally yours, Jim. In a temple somewhere in Asia, an archaeologist with a lady's voice named Eugene Turbot Wienerspan is digging up a tablet. And that has instructions on how to obtain the Crimson Gem of Sitarak. And guess who is the current avatar of Sitarak?
The Juggernaut.
The
Bow, bow,
Juggernaut.
bow. Horn noises. I want to
So the
edit horn
Juggernaut
noises.
was whipped off to the ocean by the gladiator. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gladiator threw him into the ocean during the Phoenix Saga.
And
And
he was glowing green and he walked on the bottom of the ocean towards America. So
and it's
then, yeah,
taken
he
him
comes
the
out
whole
of the
season to
water.
get here.
Yep. And so this dude's basically about to steal his power, is what is going on here.
Yeah, but I think
And
my favorite part of
yeah,
this episode is the POV shot that we get at the beginning, which I also edited into the preview on YouTube,
hell
uh,
yeah.
where we see a seal walk up to him,
That seal
and
was
then
great.
he fucking punches a
Mhm.
shark in the
The
face.
shark that's about to eat the seal. We have Eugene Turbot, Wiederspan, digging up a tablet with instructions on how to steal Juggernaut's powers. Juggernaut, meanwhile, walking towards America after being punched across the ocean by Gladiator in the Phoenix saga. So he's on land, he steals a car, he like rips the top off a taxi
Love
and
that
That was
then
awesome.
visual. It's so funny.
fucking tells the taxi driver like to pound sand, basically. He's got a family reunion to attend. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna go visit his brother, his stepbrother. Um, and this
And
is years before the movie Step Brothers. So this is the original Step Brothers
so
rivalry.
X-Men also invented the concept of stepbrothers.
Yeah. Step Brother
Definitely.
rivalry. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we get a bit of his like history, their childhood together, which we see kind of in X-Men First Class, but with Mystique as his like step sibling instead of Juggernaut, which is probably more interesting.
Mm.
How do you guys rate Juggernaut as an X-Men villain?
He's not a mutant.
He's weird. It's like a really strange choice. He's quite a relic of the 60s.
Hmm.
Um,
The main reference I have for him is when I was a kid, we had these like Hubba Bubba bubble gums with like X-Men stickers. And we used
Ooh,
to literally
I
trade
remember
them in the
those.
field, the schoolyard. And like, yeah, I had a Juggernaut sticker. And I remember like that's how I like learned about Juggernaut.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
I think that like the way he was used in Deadpool 2 is particularly good. He's
That was really
like
good.
it doesn't matter that he's Xavier's brother, he's just this force, this wrecking ball, and he is more or less good, which is how he's depicted in more recent years, in the past 15, 20 years. He's just been part of the X-Men. He got over his bullshit with his brother, and he's just a good guy, hangs out with the X-Men, often befriends weak, young, weird-looking mutants and becomes their protector.
Even
I
though
don't
he's
know.
not a mutant.
No, it's
He's
strange.
magic.
Like I kind of get the idea that he consciously went and found a way to be equal to and protected from his brother that is different. I like
Mhm.
that there is something to that, but he's just not a mastermind. He's not a main villain. He's always got to be a sidekick. So there
Yeah.
just isn't really space to explore him in that way in film.
Like a novice mind at best.
Yeah, in X-Men 3, they just made him just another mutant.
Mhm.
And I don't know,
He's kind
maybe
of a
the
fun villain though. He has a lot of presence, and he's always
yeah.
gives Wolverine, a Beast, and Rogue a run for their money because he's so strong and tanky.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
he's iconic. He's not terrible. He's just not like a favorite.
Yeah,
He's the
This
agreed.
might
Juggernaut.
this might actually be my favorite Juggernaut story.
Yep.
I think that word comes from like Sanskrit or something. Like it's like an
It's
ancient
a
term
very
for like a
old
big
word. Yeah.
machine that just destroys things.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
like a
yeah.
chariot.
Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
looked that up.
Well, thank you, Mike. History teacher.
Hmm. Shag
Uh,
Islanders.
hey. So yeah, so he's
So
like
then he
coming
gets to
for
the
the
mansion.
X-Men and Professor X knows he's coming. So they get to the mansion. Xavier lures them into the danger room and sets up a series of it's not Juggernaut, it's a Juggernaut robots. Um, an imitation of the Hulk, which was a cool
You
little
could have just
That
called
was
them
cool.
moment.
Juggernauts
Juggernauts.
or not Juggers. I don't know. I think this is a really
Whoa, Jim. This is a family show.
I really like this sequence. I think it's really silly. I think there's a lot of really fun, silly visuals with the Juggernaut that really take advantage of him. I couldn't help but think if this was a live action thing, this would be awesome.
Hmm.
How many Avengers cameos are there in the X-Men show? Because having Hulk in there for a second was kind of cool.
That was one of the few.
Yeah, I'd say like every 3 or 4 episodes, we get a couple cameos like that. Often a couple in rapid fire succession. The deal
Yeah,
with that was that Marvel did have to pay to license out each character that they used if they were like a spoken character. But the producers of the show would often give very detailed descriptions of the characters that were just meant to be extras, and then the animators just knew to look for who that was in the comic books and draw them in.
right.
It was kind of like
Because this Hulk
a
doesn't talk, and it looks a little bit different than Hulk, but you know it's Hulk, so maybe that's the way of getting around the copyright
yeah, yeah,
or
like the
having to pay
whole
any money.
the whole series was directed by this one guy, Larry Houston. So he like figured out ways to sneak people in here and there, but it really
Hmm.
is all one guy's control. Like he did the storyboards and did storyboards for lots of things. But this one he directed the whole show, so it is his like he's got a shorthand of stuff, and he's probably having conversations on the side. I'd love to get him in and talk to him eventually. He actually runs the biggest X-Men animated series Facebook group online. He's
Nice.
involved with it and interacts with people directly, which is pretty cool.
What was his name?
Larry Houston.
Larry Houston. All right.
Yeah.
Larry Houston, if you're listening,
Yeah.
join us. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
So at this point, he's defeated the robot Hulk. He's fighting Beast. He's about to fight Xavier. And then this Eugene Turbot Wiederspann finds the gem of Cyttorak, the ruby, and Juggernaut's power just leaves him, transferring to Eugene.
Who's
And
somewhere else on the
then
planet, right?
he seems to be like nearby because the X-Men can reach him and fight him. But it looks like the like power travels very far across the Earth. Pieces of the Danger Room collapse onto the former Juggernaut. Now, what's his name?
Kane Marco. Yeah.
Kane Marco. Yeah. And so he's like dying basically. And it's funny because like Xavier does a rare like power trip where he's like, no, no, X-Men, I'm not asking you to help. I'm telling you to get that shit off of him. Like make it better. Like fix this, you know?
Yeah, he really
So
does care about
yeah,
his brother in a deep way and doesn't let it get in the way of helping him or anything. Yeah,
right.
bosses kids
So
around.
now Kane Marco's in a coma. And then Xavier wants to help, and all of the X-Men are like, dude, he literally wants to kill you. Like, why would you want to help him? He's like, I just want to help my brother. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
in his way. And then they kind of we see some flashbacks and Xavier's in his head, and we're seeing how his stepfather treated him because his stepfather really married Xavier's mother for money, so he needs to keep everything with young Charles needs to be on the up and up, so he abuses his son. Yeah.
And then
Sends her to
Cyclops and
boarding school.
Wolverine. Yeah. Yeah, basically, and then he blames Charles for all that stuff, which is kind of unfair. But Cyclops and Wolverine sent to find the new Juggernaut and transfer his powers back to Kane in spite of everyone's protests. So, like, literally, Eugene is using the powers to pick up women at a club. He
And
like
their tables.
throws this dude like off into the distance and is like, "Hey, you should get with me because I'm tough as hell." And the girl's like, "Screw off, freak." So like,
He's really hilarious
dude
wearing
has
this
like zero riz.
ridiculous. Yeah, no, he's still awkward as fuck, but he's huge and
Yeah,
he's wearing like nightclub clothing, but it's like very tight on him and he just looks like he's just an asshole. He's even worse than he was before. It's just
just some Miami
emphasized his
Vice
bad.
level white suit.
Yeah.
Do you think the
So
suit is meant to be like symbolic of like steroid use?
maybe.
Because you kind of got the guys who want to be big because they want to beat up other guys, and then you've got other
Yeah.
guys who use steroids because they want to like be impressive and they were nerds and they want to appeal to women. Like it almost seemed like the two types of people who might use steroids. Do you think
Hmm.
that's what they're going for at all
Yeah.
here?
I see
I think
that.
that's what they're going for. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that sounds
Visually
right.
referencing that kind of person. I feel that when I look at him. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's a douche. So then like Wolverine Cyclops fight off Eugene and grab the ruby of Cyttorak, send it back to the mansion, and then yeah, dude's like falling apart. He's just so mad. So back at the mansion, Cyclops Wolverine bring the gem back to Kane, turn him back into Juggernaut, and then Juggernaut just like whips that shit right off into space. And he's like, yeah, no one can ever mess with me again. He says, throwing it into space where like aliens obviously we know exist. The Phoenix is out there. The
The red whale.
the red whale, the epic bacon whale is out there. Like there's so much stuff out there that could mess with them. if they get their hands on that ruby,
Big
you know?
mistake.
I don't think you're accounting for
Big
how
mistake,
big space
huge.
is. Space is
Does anyone
very
get the
big.
ruby
Yeah,
again
but like,
later? Do we know?
No,
come
I
on.
don't think so.
No.
It would be a you could show that you could have that happen later. Somebody gets the ruby and then they'd have to go across space to get it back. So there's,
Right?
there's potential in that story.
Silver
Mhm.
Surfer could do it. Take like two
There you go.
seconds.
Oh yeah, you just needed the power of will. Um, and then we come back to the club where everything has fallen because the guy destroyed everything, and he helps the girl up, and he's back to being scrawny normal, and she actually likes him now because he's helping her and not so intimidating. So, lesson learned.
Wolverine and
She
Cyclops
hugs him
dropped
and
that
he
line.
faints.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Girls like guys who just be themselves or whatever is their
Yeah,
relationship advice to him.
love that.
Yeah.
So, what are our thoughts? General thoughts, score?
This is the type of episode that kind of makes me appreciate this series
Yeah.
because the villains aren't just I'm some evil bastard who's trying to destroy the world because I'm evil. There's like real human emotion, psychology behind why Juggernaut is doing what he's doing. Like explaining his backstory and Magneto as well, right? I think this show does a really good job, kind of like Game of Thrones, of having shades of gray. It's not just like there's good and there's evil, but there's
Good and evil.
good and evil. That was unfortunate. Let's not do that again.
It's
You guys
fun to
aren't going to be on
stay at the
YouTube anymore.
YMCA, I'll
Good and
tell you.
evil. But yeah, I think how Wolverine kind of flirts with the dark side at times. The fact that Juggernaut walks away at the end when he could have been wrathful towards them, I think shows a lot of depth to the villains, not just the heroes. And that's why X-Men is really cool. Like as a kid, I think I didn't explicitly recognize that, but appreciated it on like a subtle level.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
walking away was his way of saying thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I think he did. Xavier did get through to him, and all he can show at this level in his development is nonviolence as a step forward. It is a step in the right direction. So
Hmm.
that's cool. This is an episode that I hated as a kid, but I really did like when I was watching through it this time. I'd give it like a 7 Sidorak stones in space out of 10.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gave it
I
seven
think
Juggernaut riding convertible taxi cabs out of 10.
at least 6.9. Easy.
Do you think they're explicitly, because his name is Cain, do you think this is like a Cain and Abel
Yes,
parallel, like on purpose?
with a blunt hammer. Yeah,
Kanan disabled.
Well played, sir. Mm.
that's
Speaking of,
it.
when
He
they
is.
when they
Wow.
rebuild Xavier's body, does he come back in a wheelchair or can he walk after that?
I think he can briefly walk again when they rebuild his body for a while.
Nice. And then
Yeah,
immediately gets into a car accident.
sometime later. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets his legs back like 3 or 4 times throughout the years, and then gets paralyzed again. But it's
Just
okay
destined to be
because he's
paralyzed.
telepathic, not telekinetic.
That's right. That's the difference.
It's the real thing, just
Hmm.
like the punch dimension. All right, thanks for joining us, Mike. And we'll see you on Dudes of the Dead for the Mummy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Lee
This was
Cronin's The
fun.
Mummy. Don't go to Mummy 1995 starring Brendan Fraser. That is a common mistake. We're referencing Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Lee Cronin, who directed Evil Dead Rise, which was a
Evil
lot of
Dead
fun.
Rise, yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
Yeah, I have
yeah.
high hopes for that one. The trailer looks good.
yeah.
We honestly feel like Jim like summoned that movie to exist because we were texting about the concept of Shutter Island and then the trailer for that movie dropped on YouTube as we were texting.
Hmm.
It's like,
It's
wow,
true.
this is
It's very
exactly
true.
what we're talking about. That is crazy. Thanks, universe. And the universe was like, no problem, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it as long as we don't get murdered.
You
Yeah.
know, if we get murdered, but the world survives, it's okay.